Hello, everyone, and welcome to this beginner's guide to learning the cello. Tell me where you are watching from, and of course, tell me where you are in your cello journey here with me. I just put out the big 17-minute beginner cello video. And I want to make sure, just double checking that this thing is actually posting. I just always like to double check here. On your channel. Oh, there it is. Okay. Let me know what you're working on if you are a beginner. And there's a couple of things that I would like to dive into here with this big, huge 17-minute video. And of course, if you've had a chance to watch it and you have any questions, please, please, please ask those in the chat, all right? Love answering your questions. Happy to answer your questions and hang out here doing that. You know, being a beginner is... it's challenging, yes, especially with this instrument. So hopefully you have a live in-person teacher starting this. Oh, great. 5 months in. Oh, I love it. And how are you liking it so far? Did you just decide to start? Are you in lessons? Are you with a teacher? Are you... do you have some specific books you're working out of? Curious to know. 5 months in, that's fantastic. You know, one of the things I think right from the beginning that students should do, and I think I mentioned this in the video, is, you know, recording yourself as part of your practice session. Remember, part of what you're paying a teacher for is their ears, right? And you know, this is the way our college teacher said it to us: you're paying for my ears. It's like, well, why don't you just record yourself and you be the ears? And of course, you're not going to hear everything that your teacher's going to hear. You're not going to hear everything that a professional is going to hear, but you're going to hear a lot more than you realize. It's so important. God, we used to carry around these mini disc recorders, right? I graduated college in 2003. Before the proliferation of cell phones. And you have these amazing recording devices in our pockets that, I mean, it's such a game changer, for learning a musical instrument. And yet, you know, I find that students just rarely take the thing out and use it. You know, it is an extra step. It's an extra thing that you have to do in the middle of your practice session, is get the recorder out and record yourself. But if you want to make some really fast progress, it is not, what should I say? It is not optional. There we go. There's a great way of putting it. So I just wanted to double down on that because, you know, it's 2023, man. It's the 21st century. Use your phone and record yourself. The other thing that is so powerful that we have now in our modern technological age, which I don't think I mentioned at all in the video, which is what I definitely want to mention now, is that on another channel, I have started posting, because they're really, you know, these things that I am posting here on this other channel are, you know, if you're really, really serious about learning, and you're really trying to accomplish some goals, then this is the place for you. This is the place for serious people. I even started calling it the Cello Online School. And what I've started posting are practice loops. Because YouTube, if you're listening out there, YouTube does not include in the player, as one of the features of the player, the ability to loop a specific section of the video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just, in the comments here, a link to that other channel. It's called the Cello Online School. And I've gotten all the way through like the first loop of the Détaché Twinkle. You are studying with a one-to-one teacher. Oh, Genevieve, this is great. This is great. And you're here. This is my number one. You know, when I went live yesterday, I mentioned, you know, being online and learning in 2023, some of the stuff I say every time, you know, every single year, and it's that bring different voices into the conversation, okay? Bring different voices into the conversation and get different perspectives. It is just it's the fastest way to get where you want to go, all right? We cannot continue to accept this learning in a kind of a vacuum state where it's me in my practice room to my one teacher, back to the practice room to my one teacher. You know, you gotta, you know, I also remember this because in college, you know, we go to all these master classes and we have all these guest artists come in. And the reason we have them come in is that they make these just profound impacts on us. Go watch the live stream from last night where I mentioned Andres Diaz and, you know, him talking about bow speed and what a profound effect that had on me, about just incorporating into your scale practice using different bow speeds. I won't do it again here because I already did it last night, but you can go check that out. Anyway, so good for you for being here, for, you know, being willing to listen to another voice, another perspective, all right? Do what your teacher says, ultimately, all right? But you have to go out for, you know, for examples, for tips and tricks, and also just for affirmation. You know, it's like, I go watch cellists, I go watch things, you know, because I always teach, for example, arm weight, you know. And I should mention this, since this is supposed to be a beginner guide, is one of the things that beginners struggle with is getting this arm weight, all right? 'Cause especially in our area, you know, I see a lot of beginner cellists that played violin for a year, all right? Because we have these programs in our area where violinists start, or children start in the 3rd grade playing violin. And then they'll switch to cello to go to 4th grade. And with the violin, you know, it's like just bow weight and you get lots of sound. And then cello, you have to put all this arm weight into the bow, all right? And so for my own edification, you know, my own education, I'm watching different things about arm weight and seeing what people have to say about the right arm. And you'll watch some of the best cellists, best cello teachers in the world say, oh, you know, this, you know, and some of them I respect, so I'm not trying to be disrespectful, is, you know, the arm needs to hang, and the elbow needs to be down, and you should be pulling down on the bow. Okay, that's great. And then you go watch somebody else, and they'll say, and they're also, you know, equally great, and they'll say, I always feel like the arm is coming down over the top, and that the weight is coming down from the top and into the bow, which is the way I think of it, right? I always think about this hand hanging down like this, and these fingers into the bow, and this arm weight is coming over and just pushing down on the bow. That gets the best sound for me, and that's the way I teach it to students. So, thumb position. Oi. Not a beginner topic, a great topic. Maybe I'll get to that at the end here. Let's see if there's any more beginner questions, since I did promise beginner guide here in the title. Well, I'll mention real quick, you know, well, first tell me while I'm answering this where you are in your thumb position. Maybe I can do a little hybrid question here. Hybrid answer, I mean. And that is, if you're just beginning thumb position, play your first 9 tunes from Suzuki Book 1. Okay? Play them up in D major, up an octave. I think that's where everybody starts when you first start thumb position. And there's a great book. That's a great book I still need to explore as a Suzuki teacher. The Position book by Mr. Rick Mooney, who we lost this year. Rick was a great contributor to the cello pedagogy for decades and decades. I know it's like it starts to feel like start to feel a little overwhelmed. So many things to to think about. Hopefully, I'm not making it sound too complicated here. Yeah, that's why you got to tackle them one at a time. Yeah, and the other thing I didn't mention in my big beginner video, and this isn't just beginners, but for those just starting out, people who've been playing for 5 months or whatever, and that is when you have a physical habit, like, which we develop or have from the beginning, right? Because we just have natural tendencies. And so there is no secret sauce, okay? That's what I'm here to tell you. There is no trick. There is no stardust for getting rid of a physical habit. The trick, if there is one, is that you have to realize, if you're having trouble getting rid of it, the trick that you have to realize is that you haven't spent that much time on it. So the solution is a practice timer, right? Again, you can go on your phone. I have a timer cube I like, and my 9-year-old son, actually it's not even here because he loves it. He's fallen in love with the timer cube so much, it is on the piano upstairs. Because it really helps him focus, and then he knows that he's going to do this thing for 3 minutes, and he absolutely loves that. So he comes and he steals the timer cube out of my studio all the time. So say you have a habit, a beginner habit, one that we run into, bow hold, right? This pinky coming up here, or hand falling toward the screw, or something. Name anything you want. Lower the camera down a little bit. Sorry. Love my IKEA desk. Pick anything you want with the bow hold, and you just have to focus on it one at a time, and you have to realize that it takes several times of doing it, to really start to have the new habit, right? So if I say, I'm gonna, keep my pinky on the frog like this, flat against the frog, then I'm gonna set a 1-minute timer, or a 3-minute timer, or something like that, and, that's it. I don't care how out of tune it goes, okay? I don't care what the tone is like, all right? Well, maybe I care a little bit about what the tone is like. I definitely don't care about the rhythm, okay? Definitely don't care about the dynamics, okay? Maybe care a little bit about the tone because, the right hand and the tone, they go together. But if I say I'm going to focus on my pinky and that's my goal, I got to stay focused on it. Because the killer, and we all do it, and the more we know, the more we do it, is that we say, I got to fix my pinky, and then I start playing. It's like, it's so out of tune. Let me fix that, right? And that's not what I set out to do. I set out to fix my little finger. So, pick your goal, stick with it, and then, if you don't like the timer, you could say, I'm going to play, whatever you're working on. If you're at the beginning of book 2 in the long, long ago, you could say, I'm going to play the theme, and I'm going to make sure that my wrist flexes the whole time I'm playing the theme, and I'm going to do it 3 times, right, in a row, right, because I'm having trouble. Or you get down to the variation. In the long, long ago, I was just doing it today with a student. It's right here on the stand. I'm going to make sure that I have a clean tone and nothing scratches and nothing slides. And then I stick with that goal. If it's a left-hand physical goal, somebody mentioned, thumb position. So I'll maybe use thumb position as the example, but this, this is so important as a beginner to focus in on things. Like, say I'm having trouble keeping my wrist straight, or say I'm squaring up too much, or say I have a tendency to do this, right? Then I'm going to practice in front of a mirror, and I love that I have the reflection here. Okay, silver lining of all the online teaching from the pandemic. It's like, oh yeah, we always have a mirror available to us in the form of a device. But I'm going to think about this, and I'm going to be singularly focused on that, because that is what I'm trying to change, okay? Set a timer. Say you're going to do it 5 times. Make a goal. Make a goal of it, okay? So they're 2 months in, age 61, no wish to read music, just play by ear. Could you do something on this in the future? Please enjoy your life. Thank you. That is a big thank you for reminding me. It's on the list that, and I feel ashamed. So this is confession time to all of you out there. That one of the great and wonderful and beautiful things I've done in my cello playing life is learn how to improvise when I was playing in the church band with the 5 o'clock band in Birmingham. Shout out to them wherever they are in the world. Love them dearly. Miss those people all the time. And I am ashamed that I have not ever talked about improvisation here on the channel. So it's on my mind. I want to do it right, but I do need to put something out about that. You know, if you're at the beginning stages, okay, and you say you want to play by ear, you know, with the guitar, it was always just, you know, listen to it and then learn to play it. You know, I don't know. I think it's kind of like the physical thing. I don't know that there's any special trick to it, is that you find something that you really want to learn. Now, you would be very hard-pressed, it would be very difficult to learn something like, say, the Bach Prelude, to learn that by ear. You could. It's not impossible. I'm sure it's been done. But to learn something really, really complicated, you need the music in front of you. You need the music in front of you. You can do simple things, you know. I love sitting down and like just thinking about sometimes some of my favorite hymns from church that I remember and playing those by ear. You know, playing by ear is just about playing something that's familiar, right? My shepherd will supply my need. One of my favorites. Something simple and beautiful and Celtic. Oh, then just make it up. All right, and maybe learn, you know, learn what a pentatonic scale is. So a pentatonic scale is, you know, 5 notes instead of 7. That's where the name comes from. There's no leading tone. So like if you went to a piano and played all the black keys. So, and if you just start playing a pentatonic scale, you'll kind of sound, I feel like I'm about to bow into the wall here, sorry. You know, so I'm leaving out the F. I'm leaving out the F and I'm leaving out the B. Yeah? And that's what gives it that flavor. All right, so look up pentatonic scales. Something else I probably should talk about here on the on the channel. And then, you know, as far as improvising goes, you know, I would say this is where, you know, it's never completely by ear. Yes, we do play by ear. This is an oral art form, right? You have to go listen to music. You have to go listen to the pieces that you're learning so that you understand them. But having a little bit of theory knowledge, of course, helped me when I got started improvising. So, for example, you know, we're looking at this lead sheet, and it has lyrics, and it has lead sheets on it. And I hope this is okay that I'm sitting here talking about this, because I said beginner guide, but if you're beginner in improvisation, I guess, is that, you know, knowing what the notes of the arpeggio, what the notes of the chord are, so that I can make up a bass line. And I know, arpeggio notes will always fit with whatever chord there is, right? So not to get into a big knockdown, drag out theory discussion here. Definitely not a beginner topic, but, a little bit of theory knowledge, a little bit of note reading goes a long way when it comes to playing by ear and playing improv. So anyway, okay. Beginners, trying to stay on point, but I love answering your questions. I love interacting with you guys, so take that as a compliment, I hope. Talk about recording ourselves, talk about focusing in on different things. I mentioned, as I always mention, watch this channel. There's lots of great cello channels out there these days, with lots of great information. I always give a shout out to Jonathan Humphreys, who I think is an awesome human being and has a lot of beginner stuff on his channel as well. And so, that like going and consuming his content, if you're a beginner, it's a must. Like, come here, watch this stuff, take it in. On another day, go watch his stuff and take it in, and then compare, synthesize, between your teacher and these other two people who are talking about, 3 is the magic number, truly. And then, oh my gosh, watch your playing ability just explode. Okay, yeah, and that's what we want. That's what I want for you. Other beginner things. Notes. Yes, one of the things I've done in my own studio is just, I make it a part of the lesson where I make notes. Okay. That I send them home with at the end of the lesson. Partially because I have a lot of students in the studio now, but also, so they can remember, but also for them, so they can have it on the stand, so if your teacher's not giving you notes, make sure that you are taking pretty good notes, okay? And, and when I say pretty good notes, like that there are some clear goals in there, because we can write lots of things down, and I've gotten better as a note taker and a note giver to my students, because you can write all this stuff. You can like write down like all the thoughts, okay? And you see how I can go down the garden path here, just talking about cello. It's that make sure that there are some clear, concise things that you want to achieve, okay? Great question. How long does it take to learn the cello perfectly? First, there is no such thing as perfection, and that's not just I'm losing the word. It's like you hear lots of professionals say that. You hear lots of famous people say it. The more important thing is, why are they saying it? Why is everyone saying the same thing, that there is no perfection? Probably the greatest answer to this is over on the tone-based channel. They've started putting out a lot of cello content. Misc, who is amazing, funny human being, and is so relaxed and so laid back. And his thing is give up on the idea of perfection, right? And as soon as you do, as soon as you realize it can't be perfect, man, it just puts your head in a different space to where, I don't have to be nervous anymore, because this is a constant journey, right? This is what makes it interesting. This is why I'm still playing. I started 11, and I'm 46. So 35 years in, I'm still sitting here talking about it, still sitting here having fun talking about Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, okay? Because there's always something new to discover. So there is no perfection, and thank goodness, because I would have gotten bored with it 20 years ago. If there was some sort of perfection that could be achieved and then you're out, then there's no reason to keep going, right? But I love Misc's answer to this, that it does so much for us. And it's not a morose thing. I'm not being pessimistic by giving up on perfection. It truly is an unattainable something, and it's not something that we would want to attain, I think. Yeah, we want to do this until the end, right? Now, maybe a better answer or a better question is, how long does it take to feel like I'm playing something, like I'm playing the cello and doing it well? And that's a great question because it's a very, very abstract question, which brings us back around to the what's the goal, right? Did I set a goal? And this is why it's so important to set goals, all right? Which I, didn't talk about in the 17-minute video. Why is it important to set goals? It's important to set goals because then I know what I accomplished, right? With art, with creative stuff, because it's creative and because it's interesting, we can do it infinitely, yes? And so there's just this spiral of where we just keep going and keep going, and did we accomplish anything, and did we get there? Well, the only way to know if we got somewhere, if we did something, is to set a goal. So if you say, and make them long-term goals, right? So in 6 months or a year, I want to be through book 2. In a few months, I want to be able to play, like I was just talking last night about, Scherzo in book 3, that we have this, that I always make students have a metronome goal, right? So, all right. And so when we're going through that with students, then I put it in the notes, I put it on them. This has to be at 145 or 150 or whatever the speed is. 145 or 150 seems to be about the minimum to break this wrist free, all right? We got to learn this action. This is a actionable goal. This is a thing we have to do on the cello, is loosen this thing up. And the scherzo for me in book 3 is the dividing line of, if you haven't figured it out by then, you got to figure it out now in this piece before we move on, right? And so it's a place in the learning where there's some very, very specific goals that have to be attained. You have to play at this tempo. It has to be forte. It has to be with a clean sound. The tone has to be there. And this hand has to be moving independently, all right? This arm has to be moving correctly, okay? So what I would say is, to this question, how long does it take to learn cello, is make a goal. Make a goal. Just thank you. One more question. Is a cello of 1,000 the ideal for the sound to be better? Is the one you have right now very expensive? So this is my nice cello. Yeah, there's a video on the channel here where I played some different cellos. It varies. 1,000, is that $1,000? Where are you in the world watching? Let me know if that is, like, is that 1,000 euros, 1,000 something else? I'd be curious to know. The buying guide I have here on the channel is not that old. But yeah, as a beginner, obviously this is a question that comes up, buying or renting, or how much should I spend? I think, you have to go out, and go local is always better, and try some different ones out so that you have an idea. And you'll start to realize that there's kind of a range of, I need to spend this minimum to get this sound. And make sure you have a teacher, all right, somebody helping you. Okay, I unless it's a trusted shop or a trusted source, and you really know you're getting something good, I would say do not buy online. The Celio instruments, Celio, I see these things all the time, and they sell them, and they're not even worth, you're going to spend more money getting the thing to sound okay, right? So whatever you have to spend for something that gets a decent sound. I know that's not a very good answer to your question. It all depends on where you are, okay, and kind of what the price is in there. I think the prices here, in the St. Louis area where we are, have remained pretty consistent over the last 5 or 10 years. I mean, of course, they've gone up like everything else has gone up. But I think you could get something decent. Of course, you can get something decent for $1,000. Yeah, that would sound okay. Just make sure you shop around. Yeah. You could probably get something decent for 700 to 1,000. I don't know. It just depends. All right. There's so many variables in there with that. Yeah. With the whole pricing and buying a cello. So I hope that helps. I do have a buying guide video on the channel here where you can explore that some more. But yeah, let me know where you're watching from, because I'd be curious what shops are there close by, and you know, where you could go to get some live in-person help with that. So it's a great question. Beginners. What other questions do you guys have? I'd love to answer them. Other goals I would set for myself as a beginner. You know, I mentioned the metronome goals. And actually, I talked about this last night because somebody was asking me about playing fast, or they're having trouble with tension and playing fast. And this especially happens in the beginning when you're a beginner student. You know, I think you have to go fast early on. Yes, slow practice is important, but it's important, like when you're playing Twinkle, to make sure you don't play it too slowly, right? So I always set, or have been here the last few months, making sure that students are playing Twinkle at 105 in preparation for perpetual motion, okay? And making sure, because it's real easy to sit down and play Twinkle and go, which is great. I mean, we want to play whatever tempo we need to make a good sound and play in tune. But as far as long-term goals and long-term success, I need to be setting the metronome up and making sure that I am making that happen. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I realize my microphone's kind of low down there. Make sure I'm making that happen to teach my right hand to go fast early in the process, okay? Early in the process. Don't wait on that. Don't wait on that. Make sure you're going fast in the beginning, okay? What else? Being a beginner. Beginner. Any more beginner questions? Of course, I like all these questions. These are great. There's going to be several live streams on Saturday. Oh, and don't forget, you guys get to name the topic for Saturday night. The one that's at 6:30. So leave it in the comments, or shoot me a message, or I need to post something there in the community tab. It says, I got to play some music for me on it, and it sounded lovely. I got it on eBay for 200 pounds. Buying a bow was more difficult. Oh, okay. So like I got somebody to just make a video of it and send it to you, or was it like a live in person? That's a good idea. Yeah, if somebody can send you a video of the instrument that you're purchasing, so you can hear it if you are buying something online. That's a smart idea. You know, and I say online is not good, but I did, before there was online, I did buy a cello when I was a freshman in college, or end of my freshman year, that I did get through mail order. But again, it was a very trusted source. Like, my teacher knew this person. My teacher had already seen a cello from this person. And we knew exactly what we were getting. And it was a great deal. And I got this new cello. It was $2,000 at the time. And that was, no bow or no case included with that. With the bow, usually if you're buying a bow, or if you know you're buying a bow and you know your budget, I bought my bow from my nice bow. Like, I bought it from Amati Violins in Houston, Texas, because I had been there. I was visiting my aunt there and got my bow repaired there, and it was the only string shop I knew, being from Alabama where there are no string shops. And so they sent me 4 bows. Again, I went back to my teacher and said, hey, which one of these, do you think? And they were all nice, but he knew about bows, and he said, this one is like a name. Like, I've heard of this bow before. This one's going to go up in value. This is a good investment besides just being a good sounding bow. And so I went with that one, and he was right. I mean, it's gone up, incredibly in value. So Let's see. I was renting a 7/8 cello from Barnes Violins in Palm Beach. Purchased it for 20. They applied some of the rental. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's an important question to ask as a beginner. So if you're just starting out, and you're renting, do my rental fees? All right, how do my rental fees apply, and how much? Everybody's different. Some people are like rent to own, like they put everything towards it, and some people are like will put the first year toward purchase. Because with a cello, you're gonna be paying anywhere from $40 to $60 a month to rent the thing. So it's good to have, that's quite a chunk of change to apply, the first year rental fees toward that. So that's great. Genevieve, do you like your 7/8 cello? I haven't played. I don't think I've ever played. I've known people that had them. One of my best cello friends in college had one. And I think they're becoming more popular as more people know about them. So that's great. I think mine actually is a little bit slimmer, full size, because it seems like most cellos I see it up against, it looks kind of small. But I don't know. It is a full size, but I don't know. I think it might be a little bit a petite full size. Questions, other things that I can think of here to address. I appreciate you guys hanging out here on the live stream, and I appreciate the questions. All right. Well, if you do have any more questions or any more interest in talking about beginner stuff, this is a really important topic to me, especially as we're getting into fall. And I know in our area we have lots of little fourth graders that are starting the cello. Of course, lots of adults starting the cello. And I love beginners. I love helping people get started on the cello. It's a lot of fun. It's just really, really important to me to help people get set up correctly. So there's going to be more beginner stuff coming on the channel. Oh, great. Wow, I'm glad you found a good 7/8 that you like. That's awesome. All right, that's really, really good and fantastic. All right, guys, there will be more live streams to come. There's more scheduled for Saturday. I don't know if there'll be any impromptu ones here today, but I have a lot of private students here coming here on this Thursday today. All right, so I appreciate you, and I will see you all here very, very soon. Just making sure. Oh, by the way, I'll mention. Check the channel. There are 3 currently scheduled for Saturday. Of course, there's going to be another one. I had such a great time last night. All the international friends. I went on at 11 p.m. Central here, and that was a lot of fun. So if you are in another part of the world, I'm going to do another late night one on Friday. And actually, everyone that was there requested that we talk about vibrato, continuous vibrato, how to keep the vibrato going when playing, and some things to keep in mind. So I'm excited about that. Of course, we'll just do Q&A like we always do, but I'm excited to talk about vibrato. That's going to be tomorrow night, Friday night at 11. That's already scheduled. I'm checking here on the channel. I scheduled so many, I have to remind myself of when I scheduled them for Saturday upcoming. All right, on the 12th, they are happening at 9, 11, and 6. I thought I had maybe one in the afternoon on Saturday, but maybe not. Maybe I'll add something. But right now, for sure, 9 a.m. warm-ups, all right? Let's warm up together. And then Saturday at 11, Cello Battle Station. Yeah, Central Time, sorry, Central Time. I'm in Missouri. Missouri, USA here in St. Louis. And then tomorrow night at 11 for all the international folks, okay? 11 p.m. And then that's it for now. Maybe I'll add something in Saturday afternoon. I'll have to see if I can do that. See if I can make that happen. Oh, you guys are most welcome. Yeah. Happy to do this. Happy to hang out and talk cello. I love it. I love it. And I appreciate you guys being here, all right, and supporting the channel and everything you guys do to help this community. All right? All right, so hopefully I'll see you on another live stream, either over the weekend or in the evening. Thanks.